want to like protest Facebook one day.
All right.
Want to be connected to social media. Go to YouTube.
Yeah.
World of Gray.
YouTube.
We dare. We dare.
You don't have cans on. How are the levels?
Oh right. Well, that's not for the. Oh no, it is for this.
He likes to wear the cans. I like to remind him about the cans.
Ooh, I can hear you quite well. Now I can hear myself.
Should we turn me down?
Why?
Oh no, you can hear me quite well. That's good. All right.
No, you're good.
All right.
I like how much I can hear you.
All right.
Too much.
Oh, the podcast has begun.
Ooh, no, it hasn't.
Okay. When does the podcast begin?
Once I turn on Audacity.
Oh, Audacity.
Audacity, I want to keep clean. I'm gonna actually cut it so all this ridiculousness isn't in there.
Well,
and then I'm gonna post that somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know where yet though.
We're just gathering info. This is our 10,000 hours, folks. We're putting in our 10,000 hours to become masters of this, and then we'll start a podcast.
Yeah, like that's the thing. If you're supporting us now, cool. But I promise you, like if you kind of think we're okay to listen to sometimes, perfect.
Wait till you see what got coming up.
Because we're gonna get so much better than this. Like honestly, this is us not really trying. I'm sorry. That's maybe not fair.
Hey, speaking of which, I think we might have a guest on October 20th.
Perfect. Who's that?
Chelsea Green.
Oh, yeah. For Meat Market?
For whatever we're doing at the time. Kelowna Now or Meat Market
Kelowna
or
Now
here.
Would be good.
Yeah.
We could just record it on
active WWE wrestler Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
They're coming. NXT's coming to Kelowna on October 20th.
I heard. Yeah. You're going to get a box for us?
I'm working on a box, but I'm also working on, like I've been talking to Chelsea, seeing about if she can connect us to
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World of Gray podcast. In a society divided by black and white arguments, we are here to explore
the world of gray.
I am Kelowna's Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler.
I am Mike Chisholm, Wanderer, and a Happy Wanderer, really. I once saw a boat called the Happy Wanderer.
Do you want to just have these on? And then they don't do anything. Actually, you're on the delayed one, aren't you?
In the headphones right now.
Hear it?
You're just starting. You're doing the intro right now.
Let's see how long you can do. It'll look like a satellite delay, and then it'll be even longer delay for them because it'll be like a delay to a delay.
I'm just gonna wait to hear what you just said when it's in here. Right now, I'm talking about the Happy Wanderer.
This is gonna be the inception of podcast. The funny thing is, he legitimately can't hear what I'm saying. Until it comes through on the delay on my phone.
I'm just putting the cans on now.
Those things are noise canceling. You can't hear shit with those on. Beats headphones, everyone. Beats, if you want to sponsor the World of Gray podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. I think.
Oh, you want me to keep these on, and you want to go through the satellite delay? Okay, I see.
That's quite the delay too. It's gonna get funnier and funnier for him too, because it's getting ridiculous.
You're talking about the inception of podcasts. Legitimately can't hear what you're saying. That's true. I can't hear what you're saying.
I try to cut out the nonsense when we start the podcast, and so I apologize for anyone.
Yeah, these things noise cancel. They do good. Hey, everyone. Dr. Dre, Beats. Yeah.
To the podcast.
Sponsor? You looking for sponsors? All right, you want to sponsor us? Yeah, you go for it.
I'm only going to do this for like 2 more minutes, I promise.
I think this podcast is in 3D.
It's in like
it's going to get funnier and funnier. I don't know about that. This podcast is occurring at 2 time frames at one time. How is that possible? This is like a comic book.
Computer simulation. That's how that's possible. The best thing is that's going to be at a delay too. So I'm responding to delayed conversation, and then it's going to get to him, and then he's going to respond after I've already talked about how
I'm hearing me talking about sponsors now. I'm talking.
This may be the greatest thing I've ever done.
This is trippy because now I'm hearing my reaction talking to your reactions.
0 drugs, by the way. 0 drugs over here.
We're talking about computer simulation
today.
Now.
0 drugs today.
This podcast is crazy.
So we are going to actually talk about a topic today. I promise. We're going to talk about charity and community. But this podcast is about community. It's to get the conversation going, whether it's 2 people that want to join the conversation, whether it's 1,000 people that want to join the conversation. I'm
not on any drugs right now.
I want to talk to everyday people. And I want to know everyone's opinion. I've talked So we're going to talk about that as well. But I see so many people, and I just genuinely have conversations because I just like talking to people.
You're actually going into charities? You actually want to do this? Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about charities today, everybody.
I'm hearing my own voice, I think, a little bit too. I feel like the delay's catching up almost, but
yeah, join the conversation.
But like I'm trying to say is, I talk to so many people that are so interesting. We're actually going to have a downtown YMCA member, Brett, who is like a yoga instructor and an entrepreneur. And we're going to have...
He's a dedicated member of the YMCA team.
We are going to have a conversation about existence. So I'm going to give that a little bit because I need to like wrap my head of conversation and subject in. But like I said, that's just me having a conversation with Brett, which is funny because when Brett really wants to get a workout in, he just has to walk past me. He's like, I can't talk to you because we just spend 20 minutes talking sometimes. But we're going to have him on. We're going to get people to call in, just people I meet and people I talk to. There's so many interesting people in Kelowna.
Are we having that guest today, Brett?
No, not today. This is crazy because by the time he hears that too, it's going to go around.
We're going to talk about existence today, everybody.
What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop talking until he's fully caught up.
You and Brett talk a lot, hey? Okay, so he's going to be on. There's a lot of interesting people in Kelowna. Oh, we're not having Brett today. Okay. I feel like I'm in a time loop of some sort. This is really weird because I'm going to hear this. Oh, I'm caught up.
And scene.
Did I take these off now?
Wait.
Okay, now I'm talking about stuff. I haven't caught up. Okay, so are you waiting? Are you waiting for... Okay, you're laughing. I just caught up. And scene. That means we're done? Okay,
I apologize for all of that. That was so much for my entertainment.
That was weird. That was an experience.
That was a ride.
That I don't know if I'll ever repeat, but that was a weird one.
Okay,
that was very interesting.
If someone could clip that for us and put it out in the ether, because I
feel
like
that 45 seconds of delay.
I feel like that could go viral.
Really?
No.
You have a lot of faith.
Not at all.
Although weird stuff goes viral.
Yeah,
though.
that's a possibility.
There's sometimes odd stuff that goes viral. Ken and I were just talking about that yesterday.
World of Great podcast. We're talking about charity and community. It should still be on.
All right.
Yeah, everything's on. So what kind of charities are you?
Shout out to Mutant.
Are you a part of out there?
Yeah.
What is the benefit of charity? Is charity enough? This is the other thing we talk about. Is that the way to fix inequality and help people? Raise the level of security of people and standard of living. Man, that was way too hard for me to get out of my brain. The standard of living. We've talked about standard of living so many times on the podcast too. But is that the way to raise the standard of living, or is it government intervention? Where are we here? But a lot of libertarians will argue that it's just charity. It's just we need to focus on charity. We need to all be more capitalistic and make more money so that we can donate. And hey, there is some evidence that can be more effective than a lot of things.
See, okay, I'm looking at this right there. Alex Draper, SPCA, my heart. Now, see, I think what we're getting to now is the idea of there's different levels of charity in my mind. So you look at the SPCA, and you've got these animals that, through no fault of their own, have become displaced. And you have a place that is ready to reintegrate and do the hard things of our society sometimes and take care of this issue. So it's not animals everywhere. And these are animals that it's not like they're animals in the forest that have made their way down. These are animals that the humans circumstances. You know what I mean? We don't want to get into that.
Do they not help animals that are in the wild?
Oh, you know what? I'm sure that's a part of it too, but I mean, that's also BC conservation and stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, you go into the SPCA, most of the animals you see there, every once in a while you'll see like they've got an owl that they've saved or a big bird they've saved or they're helping or whatever. But the majority of it is it's a shelter, and it's a shelter because humans, fuck things up. And with those animals, it's no fault of their own. But then there's the other side of charity too, which is like, okay, it's that old Chinese, I think it's everyone says it's that old Chinese proverb. I don't know if it's a Chinese proverb or not, but you give a man a fish or you teach a man to fish. You teach a man to fish, you taught him a skill where he can feed himself for the rest of his life. You give it to him and he's got one meal, right?
So are you on the side in the United States, because that's really what I follow more than anything,
in America?
In America, that the welfare state is the problem and has created a victim mentality?
No, see, I think it's a balance, I think is what it is. I think there are times where you've got people, wealthy blocks of society who can actually say, you know what, we're going to take resources and we're going to find groups and individuals whose expertise is building new infrastructure that will help certain members of society. Then you've got people who flat out are just saying, hey, give to us, give to us, give to us, give to us. And are they actually solving a problem or not? I look at the charity you're a part, like, so SPCA, for example, that is a problem that is in society. There's no real business more than a charity model to help with that unfortunate situation, the situation that's out there, you know. If you tell big business to start solving the problem of animals out there, well, guess what? There's a good chance that big business is going to end up making a business out of those animals somehow. And there's, you know, how are they going to do that, right? But if you have a charity who says, no, we're here because of the animals, we're here because we want to make sure they're treated humanely, and these loose ends get tied up properly, that to me is an awesome thing. You look at what you do, you know, the charity with the YMCA, I mean, it itself has so many different programs. The one that I always gravitate to is the one that we've raised money for, the YMCA Strong Kids program. You've got a program that helps eliminate the idea of latchkey kids. It's a place where kids can come and be a part of something, feel safe, but also plug in and become leaders and be really poured into, so they're going to be better humans as they grow.
A safe space. One thing that a lot of people don't understand about the YMCA is over the last like few years, like 5 years, they've added what's called child protection policy. So but they're not the only place that does this, but we run under a governing body, but under this policy called child protection policy. So we have very, very strict guidelines of how the facility runs to keep everyone safe, right? And
that's
awesome. To protect any vulnerable persons. So it's literally a safe space. And we joke about that with the liberal demographic, but we literally have a safe space for you. If you are scared and want to go to a safe place, the YMCA is your safe place.
And I love that. And there are a lot of charities that don't adhere to that kind of regulation. They're like, oh, nobody's really looking in on them. And I think that's where the world of gray when it comes to charity comes in, because there's a lot of charities out there. I mean, how many times have you heard these scandals that have been out there with charities and misappropriation of funds and things like that, right? And I can see why some people get bitter when it comes to charity, because there are some charities out there who take oh no, I want the fish, give me the meal, and their whole survival is not getting people who don't need the fish anymore. They're not trying to be an inserted middleman into the problem, right? And so telling the difference between those types of charities to me is where the world of gray lies.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're kind of saying is we have charities that come from the moral responsibility, and then we have some charities that, I'm going to, save money in my taxes or whatever, so I'm going to start a charity. So I'm not a money guy. I'm ignorant to the money situation. So I would like to ask you a question. Can you, like, if you start, so say I don't want to say Donald Trump, because that's just low hanging fruit. If I'm a business, I'm a wealthy businessman.
Yes.
An unnamed, anonymous, orange-haired businessman, and I am, making too much money, so I'm gonna hit that next tax bracket. I want to just get rid of it. Can I start a charity, put that into like a charity account, and like not really spend any of that money, and then that's written off? Or like what are the rules there? Like, how much do you have to contribute? How much of that charity money do you have to use? Like, I don't understand.
Okay, well, first off, it depends what country you're in. I'm not going to talk about American.
Okay, we'll talk about
the American trade. But now, and I think things here, there are some people who literally just donate to charity for the tax write-off, because you get a charitable receipt, and you can get a tax advantage out of that, right?
Anything over $25, correct?
It might be even $20, but yes, where you can get a receipt for that. And I mean, there's a lot of people who that's why they donate to charities. What I'm hearing you're talking about is, let's say that you are very, very successful monetarily, and you want to start a charity or start a foundation, start something like that, and have money inside of that? The answer to that question is yes. There are people who definitely would start that to park money, or they would use it as and try and use it as a tax shelter of some sort. There are people who would definitely do that, and then whether or not they misappropriate the funds or whatever it is that they do they have the opportunity to do that and be trying to be advantageous from a tax perspective and skirt taxes? Absolutely.
Is it easy to be fraudulent within a charity, do you think? Because they wouldn't be, or are they closely monitored?
I mean, it depends. Idea. Yeah, I do think so. And if they're closely monitored and they have to make their books public and things like that. It's very easy to say these expenses were spent on this, and the expenses could have been used to benefit people within the organization as opposed to the people who the organization is supposed to be helping. There are many ways to do that, which is part of the reason I think that there's a group of people out there who they say charity begins at home. Don't you push your charities on me. I'm not even worried. Like, they become cynical towards it,
right?
Because of things like that. And so, yeah, is it easy to do it? I mean, I've never had a charity. I've raised money for lots of charities and things like that. Have I seen it within charities? Absolutely, I have. And I mean, there's also the gray area there, though, where I've seen it in charities going, okay, well, I see what this charity is spending money on. I don't necessarily agree with them spending money on it, and it may be justified.
Right. Because you can always be wrong.
And who am I to judge?
Yeah,
you know, at the end of the day, that's where I think it's really important. If you're doing it for more than just the tax break, if you're wanting to give to an organization because you believe in them, then believe in them and let them do what they're going to do with the money. Let them they're making the judgment, you know. If we work for a boss, you may criticize a little bit what the boss does, things like that, but at the end of the day, it's their prerogative to do what they're doing, and you're choosing to work for that boss. So it's kind of the same thing if you give money.
Let's talk about the bosses of these charities. Sure. So this is an interesting case. So I'm going to admit something, and hopefully the CEO of the YMCA never sees this, because Sharon is awesome, and
Sharon is awesome.
But this was more of a broad view, like before I started working at the Y.
Okay.
But you'd hear of CEOs of charities that would make fairly large sums of money. I mean, obviously I was young, so like a large sum of money, I maybe don't understand, like maybe didn't understand how, like, worth whatever.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep. 100%.
But I used to be like, well, if you're part of a charity, then why are you making so much money? Like, shouldn't you be the type of person that just wants to give all that back, blah, blah. But we watched this TED Talk as a staff, and it kind of puts it into, like, it was a TED Talk about a bunch of other things, but one of the parts in it is talking about how that argument comes up when it comes to nonprofits. But when you think about it, if you have very knowledgeable and talented business individuals that can be CEOs, or qualified individuals to be the CEO of a company, do you want the best to be the CEO of that nonprofit so that it contributes the most to not only the people, like the community that's trying to contribute, but then you might have to spend a little bit more, because the most talented CEOs, if they really want to give the most amount of just money back to the community, because money is resources, then if they're highly talented to work for a more capitalistic corporation where they can make 10 times the salary and then just donate more than their salary they would have made at this nonprofit, then they're actually contributing more by moving on to bigger companies, right?
Well, yeah, and so here's the thing. I mean, I am all for, okay, so let's just take a charity structure in it. Okay. So like you work for the Y, so let's cancel that one out. I'm not talking, like a local, 1 or 2 employees type charity. I'm talking a charity like the Boys and Girls Club. Let's take that for example.
Yeah. The Y is a big charity.
No, but we're taking you out because we don't want to make it to be a conflict or anything. So we take the Y out. So yeah, so we're gonna look at the Boys and Girls Club.
Anyways,
everything's hypothetical, but yeah,
good.
So
keep in trouble.
Okay, so you take a look at the Boys and Girls Club. The Okanagan Boys and Girls Club, I happen to know a lot about them because that's one of the charities that I give money to, and I go to their AGM every year, and I know some of their administration. So
love Jared.
Jared is amazing. Now their CEO Diane is okay. So
I only know Jared.
Yeah,
Jared's my brother.
Diane, their CEO. I don't know exactly what her salary is, but this is what she's in charge of. Okay, she's in charge of making sure that the machine of the Boys and Girls Club runs smoothly. What is that? I forget how many staff there is. I'm sure there's over 100. When they're volunteers, it's much more than that. 42 Boys and Girls Club facilities under her portfolio. Okay, they have dozens of vehicles. All those vehicles have to be maintained to a certain standard because they're public and they're bringing kids, right? So there's a safety maintenance, insurance, all that sort of stuff. So all the administration infrastructure, never mind the kids. Once you get to the kids, the programs, all the things that have to take place. This is the equivalent of running a large company. Okay, so at the end of the day, when you have an organization like that and you want to attract talent who can, you're talking at the very top, lead that organization. The question you have to ask yourself is, what would this person be worth to a company that had 42 locations? What does it be worth? 9 times out of 10, in my experience, I see EDs or CEOs of charities, executive directors, or CEOs, chief executive officers, that would make less than what they would make in the private sector, but because they're part of a charity. So even if they're making $100, $110, $120, $150,000, they're making less than what the market would demand for them.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm a big believer in people being paid what they're worth. And I think it's very, I knew the Kelowna city manager for years. He was a mentor of mine back in the day. Ron Bourne is his name. Phenomenal leader, unbelievable administrator. Like and to run the city of Kelowna. I mean, people talk about the mayor being the most powerful person in Kelowna, and no, they're representative of the people, perhaps. But my gosh, the city manager for a city like Kelowna, that is a powerful individual. That is a powerful person. And watching, what we paid him, there were many people who would bitch much money, and it's like, no, don't you understand what they would be making doing the job that they're doing in another company? So I'm a believer that you get what you pay for. And when a charity organization gets that big, I also believe, by the way, that CEO's job is to make sure that doesn't get overinflated and the money gets used as efficiently as humanly possible so the charity can execute on what their entire purpose is. So that was a lot of words to answer that one little question. I apologize.
I actually, funny enough, 100% agree with everything you just said, and that's much different than what I would have said when I was 16 years old.
Why is that though? Okay, so go back to that 16-year-old Colin, and what did that Colin believe at the time? Remember, this is not this Colin talking. This is Colin who was 16, who didn't have as much knowledge as he does now.
I think aging not only calms you down, but helps you be more critical. And I think it's funny. It's again like this Inception thing. Me now looking at 16-year-old me is like, well, you thought you knew a lot, and you didn't know much. If that makes sense.
So so let's go back to 16-year-old Colin. Hey, 16-year-old Colin, there's a CEO of this charity that makes $140,000 a year for salary. How do you feel about that?
I think I just at 16 was when I started. Well, I mean, YouTube rabbit holes or whatever, and I would get in like a mix between ridiculous conspiracy theories, ones that definitely were called conspiracy theories that later actually were proven to be very true. And then just kind of looking around, psychedelics helped probably. I'm sure.
Okay, so what did you believe back then though? Like we've just claimed it enough. What did you believe? Like you just said right now.
I feel like I need to just make sure people are in my headspace before.
Just put it back. No, that's okay.
But I questioned a lot of things, right?
Politely?
And not always politely.
Would you have railed out?
No.
Would you have said, "What the hell is that person making that kind of money for?" Do you understand what?
I think I was pretty vocal at the time, and I just felt like the fight for equality was very large, and if you agreed to be paid X amount of dollars, you were immoral and didn't perks, especially with how many people will fill these markets. And you do want the right people in these are probably the most crucial places to have qualified people, because we're trying to help the most amount of people. That's why the president of the United States should be the most moral, educated person. Oh, hello, Daisy.
Hi, Daisy.
Hey, because they have to control so much, make so many decisions, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're in charge of a lot of stuff.
And who wants that job? Me and Jen were talking about how much corruption there's in government, and I'm a big believer that Trump, Obama, Clinton, they're all well, maybe not equally, but they're all awful, right?
Okay.
Like Russell Brand has a really good way of explaining it in his point of view, is like all those differences on the political spectrum are so minusculely different that they're irrelevant to the actual social change that needs to happen.
And that's probably true. You know, I think that many times the machine itself is greater than even whoever the leader is. Like right now you're watching this podcast, probably not, but that's okay. For those of you who
you are,
I'm watching it right there. Yeah.
That's me.
When the aliens come and they take a look at the rest of this, you know, all the record of everything that's happened here, and they unearth this podcast, you know, that's great that they're going to see this. And what I'm going to say about that is, you're aliens right now, you're watching a couple of guys here who actually have gifts of leadership.
I think the aliens would be like, oh, these guys actually are kind of clued in a little bit.
Oh, maybe.
I think so.
I'd like to think
in like a little, I think in a little way, I think if aliens were to get in my brain, they'd be like, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
They'd also be like, get worked out.
What's wrong with those guys?
But apparently, like, this guy gets it.
But you know, hey guys, whoever's watching this, you're actually looking at a couple of guys who have leadership, instinctual leadership in the things that we do. We're both leaders in things that we do. However, now, so here's where I'm going with this. There are people, I believe, out there, because people say, well, who wants that job? Who wants to be the president of the United States or the prime minister of Canada? Who wants that? You know, there must be ego inflated. They must be this, they must be that. No, I do believe that there are people out there who have that leadership in them, where they want to lead big things. They want to be a part of that, whether it is a CEO of a company that is an upstart, and they have this vision, like the Steve Jobs of the world, who wants to really change the planet, change the world, good or bad, whatever it is. They have that leadership within them where they want to do that. For me personally, I know where my leadership takes me and how I want to express that leadership that's there. So do you. Like, I look at you as you're a team leader at the Y. I look at you with your wrestling students. I look at you the way you're leading in the fitness world, clients of yours who have hired you to take their body into your hands and mold it into this something different than what it is now. That's a certain type of leadership. So to me, I'm sure there are people out there who are leaders on that scale as well. And my hope and prayer is that those people do it as moralistically as possible, because it is not a job that I would ever want or envy.
So this morning just got into this whole big conversation about this, but we were talking about like wanting to be president of the United States, because I was watching some of my like independent news shit that I watch, and I agree with you. There are people like Bernie Sanders, I feel, is one of these people, right? That is just had like he just years and years of activism and was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna run for president because we need to fix this shit. I think there are those people, but then you also have the Trumps of the world and the Bushes of the world and Obama to a degree that start to either themselves have their own special interests or to just give in to other special interests.
To compromise.
Right. And for me, I just feel like percentage-wise that are actually are like, hey, I want to be president. I feel like there's a way larger percentage of people that would be megalomaniacs and are just drawn to that power than the amount of people that are actually selfless enough. And I'm saying, like, I'm way too selfish to run for a president, right? So selfless enough to be like, no, fuck this shit. I'm doing this for the people and I'm taking a stand.
And are we in a position in society where that selfless person could ever make it there?
Exactly.
Is it even possible for that selfless person, that pure heart that's out there that says, you know what, I'm going to give everything of myself to the best as I possibly can to do nothing. There won't be a breath in my body a day of the week where I am not trying to make this better than when I started here. So does that person have the mechanism of possibility to get to that position, or is the road to that position one that roots that person out?
So what you're saying is there someone that can cause proper systematic change? So my question then is it more advantageous to do things on a micro level within our communities, to just focus on communities and just to breed new cultures of taking care of your community, and feed that smaller version of tribalism than it is to hope and pray that we're going to vote somebody in that's going to on a systematic level. Is that just impossible? Should we just control ourselves and our family and our community? It's the one thing I was joking with a member at Downtown I. It's the one thing I agree with Jordan Peterson on. And he was like, yeah, it's probably the only smart thing that guy said. Because anyways, I don't need to bash somebody, but that's just my opinion. But start with yourself, your family, your community. And if everyone just took care of themselves and then took care of that, because you can't take care of your family if you don't take care of yourself.
Sure.
And you can't take care of your community until unless you can take care of your family.
Yes.
Well,
at the end of the day, I mean, only one person is going to run for president. Only one person is going to run for, okay. So even take it down to that level. Only one person is going to be the Colin Bazaran of our city, and that's Colin Bazaran. Yeah. He's our mayor right now. There's only one person. His name's Colin as well. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, it's spelled different.
Yeah, it's spelled different. Wow. But it's you're double the L.
I'm double the L.
You're double the L. So I mean, at the end of the day, all of us can say, okay, well, that person's the mayor, so that job is taken up. Does that mean our job of leadership is done? No. If we all get to a place where we're trying to make this a better place to live,
that happens more than government doing fucking anything. I mean, I think like local municipalities actually do a lot more, but I think on when you get bigger and bigger and the bureaucracy grows and grows and grows, I feel like people like Elon Musk are making more change in the world than a lot of and Bernie Sanders, not as president, is trying to make so much change, but it's slow because all he's trying to do is pass bills that are getting shot down or buried. And even if he wants to do now, that's still not really the full solution, and even that's getting blocked. That's so slow when you get into this bureaucracy of government.
Yeah.
But then Elon Musk is like, I got this, hold my beer, and just shoots a rocket up and has it land.
Yeah.
And we haven't had any improvement with that technology since the 60s,
right,
until Elon Musk you know what, you're not doing anything, hold this. And I got it.
It's a capitalistic reason to improve society. Now, this is where things get a little murky, because at the end of the day, you can have capitalistic endeavors that improve society, and then you can have capitalistic endeavors that don't improve the way, but they can make a lot of money. And so now many people would think that freeing up business, also frees up innovation.
Yeah.
And in that category,
so can you explain to everyone when you say free up business? What does that mean?
You deregulate things. You get it to a place where business owners can basically have the freedom to go out and build what they want and make what they want.
And get tax cuts so they can keep more of their money.
So you look at it this way. We all like our cosmetic industry. Well, do you want L'Oreal to be able to test on animals, to be able to do that? Or do they have to find a way?
But that's how you get the good lipstick.
Well, that's just saying. And so,
I don't
there are some that are saying,
lips.
hey, capitalistic tendencies are, we want a better lipstick and we want the shortcut to it. So allow us to test it on animals so humans are going to be okay. And that's the argument that they would have for it. Now, there are some people who go up against that and they do this in a moralistic way. So to go back to the Elon Musk example, right, that now with the things that are public that he's throwing out there, he's trying to fix mass transit or transit problems in LA right now. He's digging holes under the ground to try and make these underground trains to alleviate traffic issues in one of the most dense places when it comes to traffic in North America.
And do you know why he's doing that over working on flying cars?
I don't.
Noise pollution. So I never, ever thought of this, but the only way they would have flying cars at this current time with the technology, it would be like a drone, right? So they would have fans.
Yeah.
And so could you imagine just driveway with that?
Your neighbors, I want a flying car really bad.
Just flying off.
I sure can. That sounds great.
The noise pollution.
There goes the neighbor's cat. There goes my cat. Oh man, but I'm flying, so it's beautiful.
Why that technology is being more pushed forward.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I mean, he lives down there, and it's funny. You hear some people talk about what he's doing there because he's built these huge holes, like these. He's created this, and the government down there is just basically saying, yeah, okay, give it a shot. Traffic down here is so horrible, and the whole reason he's doing it is because he wants to. He looks at traffic in LA and he thinks it's horrible from a personal standpoint, and so he wants to solve that problem. Like imagine being that it's like, yeah, I don't like my commute. You know what? I'm going to change the whole system so my commute is better. That is bonkers to me.
You know what Elon Musk is doing now that is something I've researched a lot and just I haven't talked about it a lot, but I would like to see move forward is the blockchain open source technology.
Okay.
And he has a company, I forget what the hell it's called, but part of that
Tesla? No, I don't know. I'm just naming Elon Musk companies that I know of.
What
PayPal?
it is, it's an open source network for certain technologies that they're building, and it's just open to anyone to work on.
Really?
Yeah, and so this is something that Peter Joseph talks about with the Zeitgeist movement, and not the Venus Project. I think this is afterwards, but that's what he's saying is open source technology, because you see how slow innovation can be when you have intellectual property rights. Where if we used open source technology, everyone out there that's stuck on a problem has an open network to look at every problem that's been solved for a little different mechanism opened up on a grand scale,
right?
And then you might have people just wanting to innovate. So one thing that's argued a lot is, can you incentivize people outside of monetary incentive? And I think if the mechanisms to innovate were opened up and not stifled, that I don't think that it's just a money incentive. I think a lot of people, yes, and really that's the culture we've been bred into. So how could you not be motivated by the reward of money when it's been buried into us for generations and generations and generations? But I don't think that, and I'm not advocating for money to just go away today, but I just don't think that that's the only drive.
No, I mean, it's a fantastic one, but the drive for innovation should be the drive for innovation. And if there's a way of incentivizing that would, I would love if governments would take, the top 10 problems that they have.
Yeah.
And be public about it and have all the public weigh in on it and be a part of that process. These are the top 10 problems that we have. Okay. You identify what they are. And then that government goes out and says, okay, who's going to come solve it for us?
Yeah.
And you go out to public business or private business and you say, who's going to solve it for us? They come back. And if you could, a way where there wouldn't be any scratching, any handshaking, whatever other analogies you want to use, where lobbyists get involved here and muck up the problems, where the government said, okay, this is the best solution for this, let's make it happen. And then they take everything and they have this public-private partnership. The private part is they're getting their incentive, they're putting people to work, they're driving the issue, and the public benefits from it because they're solving one of these big issues that need to be solved. That sounds amazing, but you have to keep the corruption out. And that's
technology governing body where you send like a Facebook where you send all that information in and then people chat. What I'm talking about is the blockchain technology.
Yeah.
So there's no editing, there's only adding, it's open source, it's decentralized.
Yep.
Right? So everyone just puts their information in there if they feel so obligated to. But what I'm trying to get at is everything that community on a small scale has as a benefit, as with the community, for the sake of coming together as a community.
Yeah.
It's that all the value that comes from that on a grand scale. So I don't understand why that is just so argued against, right? And like we just, I mean, I get it. I do get it.
Well, if we're to take it back to charities again, right? Say you've got a charity of animals being all over the place. So we're going to use the SPCA as the example. That could be looked on as from a national point, but it's almost more effective to look at it from a local point, right? So at what point do organizations come in and say, okay, well, here's the problem on a grand scale, let's fix it on a grand scale, versus let's fix it on a local scale? And I don't know the difference between that. What I love though is that a lot of these charities that operate on a local scale are ones who say, you know what, we're a group of people that see this issue, and we're going to take responsibility for helping and fixing that situation and going from there. And then you've got big titans like Elon Musk taking something like this and making it an open source so everybody can get involved with it. Whoever wants to get involved can.
I just think there's of reward there that is the same response we get just from the reward of money or any other incentive outside of that. And I know, because I work for a charity, and for, you know, I do okay for myself, but, you know, we're, like you're saying, I probably could, you know, I don't want to miss.
If you didn't work for a charity, you'd probably make 30% more than what you make now.
Yeah, so
doing
whatever.
what you're doing.
But I would never.
That's okay.
But that's okay, because the reward I get from the stories we hear and the thing, like, yeah, not everyone is, you know, amazingly gracious all the time, because that's just human nature.
I'm certainly not.
Right, but overall, I always joke that working at the YMCA is like, because I am very cynical. Obviously, you know that, and I can be very cynical on.
Not as cynical as 16-year-old Colin, though.
Yeah, that's true. But people can be shitty, right? On a grand scale. But at the Y, people are just so positive. Like, like overall, like the average, 99% of people that walk through the door are the most pleasant, nice people. And it's my bubble. It's like my, you know, it's my safe space is actually being at work, which is awesome. And I will take that any day. That's the majority of my life is work. Like, I spend most of my time.
If you're going to be spending a lot of your time there, spend it in a place that, you know, and I mean, so many people do that. And that's the trade-off right there. You're working for an organization that does a tremendous amount of good, and you get to see that really at the ground level in a lot of ways, because you help make the decisions on some of these things. And so
come up with a lot of those things.
Yeah, you come up with them. You guys innovate. So, you know, you get to actually make that choice of, you know what? Yeah, I'll make 20 points less than what I would make out there, because I get this as the reward. And that's a cool thing. Today's a day I really wish, when we're talking about charities, I really wish some of our regulars were here, but it is like a beautiful, like we said, a beautiful, beautiful sunny spring day in the Okanagan.
Yes.
If Jade Roberts was here, I bet you he would have a lot to say about charities. So here's a question for you when it comes to charities. And I mean, I've taken my fair shot as because I publicly donate, and I've had people criticize, not just necessarily for the organizations, although I have had that happen. Why would you give money to this group here? Do you know they do this? Do you know they do that?
Yeah, of course.
But let me go back, and I want to ask you that question. When it comes to charities, and how has working for the Y maybe broadened your perspective? For people who don't necessarily believe in charity or don't even understand it, how is your perspective when it comes to what these organizations do, and charity, should they be treated as a business? Where's your standpoint when it comes to that?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me. I don't really want to speak for other charities. Just to be clear, the YMCA is what's called a not-for-profit. They have charity status. There is a charity component to the YMCA, so there's a non-profit component to the YMCA, where we actually we have what's called financial assistance. So we have a pool of donated money that helps with that, but a lot of it actually, like, we take the hit a lot of the time. I mean, I can't really speak to how the finances work, because that's 100% not my department.
Sure.
But it's not like a business. However, it all, after all the labor is just budgeted for, nobody gets bonuses, nothing like that. It all just goes back in to the YMCA, either to improve the facility for the people that are, you know, contributing to it and to our members, or it goes to this financial assistance program. But we have, you know, charitable events throughout the year where that all goes to that charitable component. Every dollar.
You raise money.
Right? We raise money for it. So it is a little bit different, but this is the world of gray. You're going to have, I personally feel that community charities tend to have a harder time developing a mechanism for mass corruption. My issue with certain views on charity being the answer is, let's with more and more, not more and more billionaires, but with more power being consolidated more and more people having power, to just say, well, oh, they should just be allowed to give to whatever charity they want, instead of, say, taxing them is needed for the majority. Now you're kind of giving power to these already powerful people to decide where they want that charity money to go. And you don't know if that might actually be advantageous for their selfish, you know, market needs, right? It might somehow funnel money back to them in some way. So now we're just giving already powerful people more power. I'm not going to get into like taxing rich people and things like that. That's not this
week.
That's for a different podcast, but there is another week. There is a power dynamic to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to just say, oh, how do you feel about all charities? But I personally think that you should do your research on your charities, or maybe just look around at your local businesses that also contribute to charities, especially to local charities, things like YMCAs. And like, instead of going to a commercial gym that takes all the profit, no offense to commercial gyms, if you're going to pick a gym and it's a nice facility and has a ton, now I'm just pitching the ones. Yeah.
No, not really. You're talking about the difference,
right? Like, that's going to actually give back to your community,
sure,
instead of it going to heads that might be in Toronto or the United States. You don't know where that money's going. The YMCA of the Okanagan is the YMCA of the Okanagan, under the branch of YMCA of Canada. So
sure,
staying in your fucking town,
so like, okay, for example, Candy and I, we cleaned out our garage yesterday with the help of our family, and it was awesome. And we had a whole bunch of things that we don't need anymore. And so we were going to donate them to different places, the appropriate places. And so there are some, a regular thrift store, just run-of-the-mill regular thrift store. Some would take it down to a place like Value Village because they've got a charity component to their business. Some people would take it to Goodwill or Share or something like that. And then there are some people who would say, hey, these are nice clothes, whatever. And they would go and consign them and try and sell them, or they'd sell them on Facebook, things like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you do what you're comfortable doing. You send things where you want to send them. But what I'm hearing from you is, hey, if you're going to go to this gym over here, the charitable component, why not take a look at that? Because they're not just there for profit, but they're actually doing something good as well. And I think that many people wrestle with decisions like those two decisions we just came up with every day. And there are some people who would actually go the opposite way. They'd go, you know what? I don't want to support any of that give back stuff. I think people should be able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and maybe they don't believe in charity at all when it comes to things. And they're like, no.
That's how you're raised.
I don't want to support that thrift store because they funnel their money back into a religion of some sort. I don't want to support that.
I'm sorry. I don't usually do this, but if you really thinks that, oh, everyone that's in poverty just needs to suck it up and be pulled up by their bootstraps, you need to do just a little bit more research and try to find a little bit more empathy. And I hate to say it, but you probably need to go to counseling, because I'm not trying to be condescending, I swear to God, and I know it's going to come out this way, but there's probably something that happened to you, either just the way you were raised and your parents were raised and they were raised, but there's something there where someone missed the fucking boat. And I don't believe that's true. Everyone at some point needs a helping hand, and if we can, you can have your opinion, but that's rough. And I honestly feel bad for you if you lack that much empathy that you think everyone should. Some people take advantage. I agree. And if there was a way to filter those people out, we should do it. Okay, sure. But if you think everyone, all the poverty out there is the fault of the individual, then I mean, like, look at Africa and third world countries. Like, I'm sorry, those places have been raped by imperialism and capitalism, and to say that they don't need help, like, come on. And people in your own town need help. So I don't even know.
No, those are soapbox you wanted to stand on. So let's go back to the other. Okay, I'm not going to give my used clothing, which I might as well just throw out or whatever. But I'm not going to donate it to that thrift store, because that thrift store is focusing on a certain denomination or sect or religion of some sort.
Okay.
Fair. What about? Do you think is that
I mean, if that goes against your morals, sure. I mean, I'm not religious, and I think religion's kind of silly, and I could be wrong. I might die and just end up in hell. Like, who knows? But I think it's silly, but I don't judge religion. I think a lot. I think there can be a lot of, and I think if the religion was attached, like a church, say, was attached to a charity that, donated a lot and there was no corruption, but that's hard to tell. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of churches are corrupt. Like, sorry. Like,
there's a reason that people are cynical when it comes to
there's a lot of times.
And there's a lot of charities that do the same thing, take the religion part out of it. There are a lot of people who don't give to charities for that exact same reason. It literally touches the same nerve. That's why I use that example, because the religion nerve gets touched in a lot of people. I will not give my stuff to this place because they're going to further this agenda. Well, there are some people out there who feel that way about religion part out. They just feel that way about charity.
I would be careful mixing, because I'm assuming a lot of these would be anecdotal instead of data driven. If they're data driven and you can, like, show me that 90% of charity, which it might be, I don't know, are corrupt. And then I'm like, okay, well, that's more of a reason to be like, yeah, maybe we just should figure something else out. But if it's like, one charity that was corrupt, so you're never gonna, like, I feel like that's more your way looking for an excuse to never give back.
And is it that's a great question too. Like, I would throw people out there who feel that way about charity and do some exploration within yourself and say, is that the reason that you feel that way, or is there room for extra knowledge to be learned?
I would also just like to say that if you can't afford to donate money, don't. Right. Yeah. Like and I know I bring Peter Joseph up a lot, but shout out to Peter Joseph. I once asked him a question because I was suspicious of something, and he actually responded back mad at me, but I was so happy that he responded back to me because I'm like such a mark for Peter Joseph.
That's troll talk right there. Hey, I hate you. You're this, you're that.
I didn't say hate. I hated him. I just had there was some stuff I was reading about him and questioning some of his things, and I asked, and I'm sure he was asked it like a million times and just fed up about it. But he does a lot of activism work, and there's charitable components to it. But he will always say in his speech, if you can't afford to donate, if this is going to actually affect you paying bills, don't. You donate if you can, but look inside you and ask yourself, can I? Right. Even once in a while, if I, have money on me and there's somebody homeless, that's maybe, but I'm going to take that chance and hope that maybe they're going to use it for food. Because on the off chance that they are using it for food, I've helped somebody eat for a day. Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, as cynical as I am when it comes to helping people, is that where you want to get cynical? There's so much corruption from the tippy toppies, the people in power, and I hate to again get cynical to that. You don't have to ruin your life thinking about it, but Alexandria Cortez had this great thing. A girl heckled her while she was talking. She went, "This should not be the fight. This should be the fight."
Wow.
Right? And she did it a couple times to her. You and me should not be fighting. I'm trying to help you. There was we're going political. I'm rabbit holing. That's okay. No one's watching. This is what happens when nobody's watching.
Donald Trump, but then they watch it after. Then we see we have 400 views after. What? Where are these people? Right. Okay.
But Donald Trump Jr. got OAC sucks chant going using the socialist thing, blah, blah. And she tweeted back because somebody tweeted it, and she retweeted it going, "Oh, that's fine. I'm still going to fight for them to all have the right for healthcare anyways."
Yeah, see.
God bless her.
The bigger picture.
So that's exactly it. And you know what? Sides against social programs because nobody that's making money off taxes want to give their portion up. Right?
No.
They don't want the well to run dry. So they can't, rob the bank as the alarm's going off. So they're going to constantly put her down. But it's the same people that did the same thing to Bernie 2 years ago when he was talking about Medicare for all, and it wasn't even mentioned. And now every Democratic primary is running off Medicare for all, right? Yeah. It's fighting for people. And this does loop. I know it sounds like I'm talking nonsense, but it's just the same thing as your community, just people, regardless of what's coming back to you, right? And just fighting that good fight for people, what's right for people. If we can, we should.
Yep.
I could run for office on that. If we can, we should.
And that is the truth.
This is what it sounds like, though, because you're at the rally. If we can, we should.
Yeah, I know, man. If we can, we should.
If we can, we should. World of Gray.
But that's the problem.
Nobody's watching.
That's okay, though. The problem with if we can, we should is that there are people out there going, me.
Oh, for sure.
I don't want that change.
Yeah, what about me?
What
That's
about
a culture thing, though. That's a culture. We've been bred into a culture of me. I have to have this. I have to have status, class.
Yeah.
It's status and class, man. Status, class, power. Status, class, power. And we're driven. You got to have status and class and power. Even if you don't realize that you're striving for status, class, and power.
Yes.
That's what subconsciously you're driving to do. I have made myself extremely altruistic throughout the years, but I still am so competitive at heart. When I play sports or games or whatever, I want to win so bad. And I'm a sore loser. It's all in us. We've been indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Into it. let's wrap this up.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man.
So
it's a beautiful Sunday in the Okanagan, and we've been talking about charity and the both sides of it. And at the end of the day, if you're going to give back, ask yourself why you're giving back. If you're just giving for the tax donation, hey, no problem. If you're giving because you want to see a certain cause furthered or bolstered, that's fantastic too. And at the end of the day too, be careful when a lot of these charities here, they know how to spend the money. They know what to do. So don't give and then start criticizing. Things like that. If you're criticizing, that just says to me that you should have taken a look at the charity and figured out where the money was going to go before you actually.
Somebody that has done volunteer work within the community and like outside of my work and with my work. If you think you want to contribute to a charitable cause, but you're unsure of that charitable cause, get involved in the charitable cause.
Absolutely.
Go volunteer, be into the charity, or start your own. Right? Do anything that's going to help you feel comfortable about what you're doing, because I know from personal experience, as much as sometimes sacrificing like your time or money or salary in my case at certain points, when my car breaks down or you know, bills pile up, it's really, that's all. It's important, don't get me wrong, it's important to set yourself up for financial security for your future, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that we are all from the same cloth. We all come from the same thing. We are all one. And as cheesy as that sounds, we are all one. And we need to take care of each other. And I promise you, if you do that, your heart will be filled, and that will be its own rewards of people just being so grateful and talking about how the why changed their life. We've had post-cancer survivor stories.
I've heard so many of them.
We do this every year at Christmas. We read out stories and there's always tears, and we never bring Kleenex every year. It's been 8 years, and I'm just going to next time just come in with an armful of Kleenex.
Makes you feel good to get up at 5 a.m. and go down there and open that gym, doesn't it? When that happens, it gives you that extra boost.
Doing that tomorrow morning.
I just want to, what you said is just so doubly important. If you're really curious about a charity, volunteer behind the scenes. You'll see the behind the scenes. And if you at that point decide, you know what, this isn't something I want to spend my time, effort, resources to, then great. That's a nice little piece of research that you did. But maybe when you do that research, when you work with them and for them, and you volunteer your precious time, because time is very precious for all of us these days, and you see what they're doing, and if it's with pure heart and you're seeing people actually get affected, whatnot, how much better is that going to make you feel to give some of your hard-earned resources to them? And I couldn't agree more. There are charities who I have bolstered my support because I've seen the behind the scenes, and there are charities who I've stopped supporting because I've seen some of the behind the scenes. And I think that is a really, really good way of measuring it. Otherwise, it's just like when you vote for somebody, but you didn't research who they are and what they do before you voted for them, right? You just did it for whatever reason. It sounded good. Well, sometimes you get the result that comes out is based on the effort you put in.
That's very true. And you can come down and that I'm not frivolously spending. I'm probably the cheapest manager in the association. When there's one day Kelly came in, she goes, "Hey, do we have any notepads?" I said, "Nope." And she went, I swear to God, and like pretty confidently, she went, "Why don't you have any notepads?" I said, "Because nobody uses notepads. They just have a laminated piece of paper. They write their class on it and they wipe it." I said, "So why would I waste money on notepads?" She's like, "Yeah. Good point." She just went back into the office, and then she talked about it at the next manager meeting. She's like, "You know, we got to really watch this frivolous spending, and because, you know, charity, and we got to watch our spending." And then really good point, you know, like, because if we don't have to spend money, we don't come downtown, man.
Come down to the YMCA. They have places for you to volunteer, but nowhere to write about it. So that's.
Nah, don't worry. We got comment cards you can write.
Comment cards. Okay. Who needs notepads when you got comment cards?
So, what we're trying to say. Give back to your community.
Yes.
Give to some charities.
Yes.
Whether it's money or time, it will be greatly appreciated. We are a family when we are a community. It starts at home. Ladies and gentlemen, for the World of Grey podcast in a society divided by this Cooter Me kid called Cutler.
I am the happy wanderer, Mike Chisholm.
And we are here to explore
the world of Grey.
Thanks for watching. Peace.
Love.
So good at that outro.
The outro is solid, man. It's coming.
Solid.
Love.
Solid Sunday. Love.